affected by those changes. Madam Koundouri, you have the floor. Thank you for the invitation. I thank the Chamber for bestowing me this honor to be invited in this conference. It is indeed the most important. And first of all, not only political news and realities, but also the corporate reality. This transit that we try to effect is not a luxury good. It is the only way towards for our survival, and this is how we should perceive it. And we should also understand that this one way ahead towards survival does not afford the luxury of time. We must make this transit quickly, swiftly, effectively, and that is why we should really pay heed to science. So, what lies ahead? We have a non-sustainable, or better, non-sustainable development. Each year, the SDSN network, Sustainable Development Solutions Network, under the aegis of the Secretary General of the UN, presided by the Columbia professor Jeffrey Sachs. I'm in charge of the European hub. This is a European network consisting of 1,700 universities all over the world with hundreds of thousands of members, which is prevalent in the effort launched by the UN to assist all stakeholders, politicians, policymakers, businessmen, financial institutions, funds, civil society, to be fully involved in what is called the transition towards sustainability. I lead the network for Europe with 450 universities, and each year we have a report affected showing how each European country responds to the goals of sustainable development. The goals of sustainable development 2015, which were established in 2015 in New York, when 193 countries sign and adopt 17 goals setting the transition towards economic, financial, climatic, and social sustainability. With 160 sub-goals, they are all quantifiable, measurable, and easy to communicate. So, when you quantify performance with regard to the SDGs, one can also communicate the progress or non-progress. Each year, since 2015, you can find our report showing each country performs with regard to these SDGs. For each of these 169 sub-goals, each one out of the 17 major goals. Until before the pandemic, we registered a great progress. Now we are stagnant and quite far away from what we want to attain. This is the overall context, the global context, the global agenda, which, along with the Paris Convention on Climate Change, so as to restrain the increase of average temperature below 1.5 C degrees, this is a global agenda. In Europe, more specifically, we are in the foreground with regard to the transposition of this agenda into specific policies, legislation, regulations. And this, of course, is the European Green Deal 2019 on 4 axes: zero sum by 2050, zero pollution, leadership on European business, and leave no one behind. that is to attain social cohesion during this transition. So in 2020, we pursue this effort for this European Green Deal on 4 axes and 9 policies, to have it transposed into detailed directives, laws, and regulations. But there, COVID came along. A major success was that this great non-linearity of COVID did not affect the course of Europe towards sustainability. That means that Europe fully understood that in order to avoid further COVIDs ahead, down the line, as well as other crises, the only way was to have a comprehensive systemic intervention that might lead all the countries indiscriminately towards environmental and socio-economic sustainability. And this is precisely what the European Green Deal does, and this is precisely what the 700 billion euros, in addition to the multi-annual framework, which are RRFs, the Recovery and Resilient frameworks. These are on 2 axes. I apologize for the Greeklish, but I understand that you all understand them, so I don't make an additional effort to have everything translated into Greek. So the focus into climate resilience, 37% of the budget must be earmarked for climatic neutrality, that is net zero net, and non-harmful actions against the environment, and 20% digitalization. So the agenda of Europe remains green and digitalized and digital, even after COVID. And this is important to understand. What did we have in 2021? We had the climate law, which is climate regulation, which is gradually transposed into each European Union country and beyond Europe. We have the EU taxonomy. What is the EU taxonomy? Europe tries to direct the capital flows into sustainable activities. That is climate adaptation, climate mitigation, circular economy, biodiversity protection, sustainable use of water and marine resources. Whatever goes under this umbrella can be funded on preferential terms. Therefore, a very important reconstruction work is done in the focus of the financial sector. Along with that, we have Corporate Sustainability Directive. What is that? That is, companies of a certain size must follow very specific rules on which piece of information should be introduced in the sustainability reports. These sustainability reports are being monitored and assessed, and they also become digitally intact. And along with that, we have delegated acts on the fiduciary management and the financial asset management, so as for these to be including sustainability rules. So not only are we changing the overall regulation, the laws, the regulations, the directives, but we also change the direction of the financial sector and the direction of the business sector. And with all that, we have also the Fit for 55, which are 14 legislative proposals so as to restructure all the laws and rules of Europe concerning the use of natural resources, of energy, which regard the emission taxes, the emissions trading system, the border emission tax, all that regards the regulation on mercantile marine, on aviation, on car transport, heavy lorries. So you realize that there is a dramatic change of which no one can escape, and no one would wish to escape. Because this is a change which, although it will be significantly reducing the environmental footprint of the production and consumption activities of our people, has a great capacity, great potential to increase profits for companies, huge potential to create and increase jobs. We have important positive job multipliers. It also has the potential to enhance growth in a country, and even more importantly, it has the potential to reduce inequality between countries, amongst countries, and within the countries themselves. Therefore, what is most important is for each company to understand, be it a state-owned company or the state per se, or a private company, or a PPP, they must all understand how they will affect this transformation. I preside an alliance research body with 180 researchers, with 5 labs, research labs, with 4 innovation accelerators, and with great interconnection with European and global networks that are involved with that precisely. That is how governments, as well as companies, will be able to bring forward this transformation in a way that will be feasible, profitable, and in a measurable way, and that can be communicated. I would like to have more time to show that in detail, but we can come at another stage and show it in detail to whomever is interested. Have no more time. Just conclude by saying that last week in New York, during the General Assembly of the United Nations, I presented the Global Climate Hub, which I will share, on the mission and goal to assist governments in establishing detailed roadmaps towards the net zero resilience and climate endurance by identifying the necessary technologies, policies, and financial instruments that can assist in this transition. This is the 3 pillars that we must see in time and space for each country, so as not only to have high-level plans on how to reach climate neutrality and sustainability, we need down-to-earth detailed pathways, a detailed roadmap, so for all the stakeholders to be engaged, to understand transition, to believe that they can really participate and really implement it. Implementation, again and again. In order to do that, along with the science-driven support, we also need a very big investment, heavy investment in education, in upskilling and reskilling. Because without knowledge on that this transition is necessary, and knowledge on how it will be affected, one can engage no stakeholder, and therefore one can have no implementation. Thank you for your patience.